Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to episode number 6 of the Intellectual Forum, the Happiness Club. Today's topic is about decluttering to unleash happiness. And I have the pleasure to have with me today Saahil Metha. Saahil is an entrepreneur, an author, and a decluttering coach. So he's the right person to talk to us today about decluttering to unleash happiness. Hello, Saahil, how are you?
I'm doing great, Hoda. It's lovely to be on your episode number 6.
Thank you very much. You hear me well? Do you hear me well?
I hear you perfectly, loud and clear.
Great. Saahil, I want to know from you today, what is your story? What is compelled you to start your journey of decluttering? And I even know that you started the journey of decluttering without even you noticing that you already started. How is that, and what is the story behind it?
You know, it's as they say, sometimes the best things in life happen when you least expect them. So I was on a trip 4 years ago with 7 dear friends of mine, and we all agreed that we would create a safe space. Now you might ask, what is a safe space?
Just making
This is an environment. This is an environment where we are not going to be judging one another. It's where we accept each other for who we are. So something magical happened during that time because of these rules, or not rules, but this agreement that we had in place. I let down my guard. I removed all the masks that I was wearing, and I became 100% me. And that was authentic me. And I couldn't remember the last time I felt that way for 4 days straight. Yes, every now and again, when I'm with my best friend, maybe with my wife, with some family, I'm myself. But have I been myself all day, every day for 4 days straight? No. Perhaps the last time I was like that was as a small child. So anyway, I experienced amazing joy, happiness. And I said, wow, how can I get more of this? And as I'm coming back to Dubai and I'm writing all this down so that I can share with my wife, I became very emotional. And I realized that as I let my guard down, as I let down these walls and removed all these masks, and through vulnerability, I started to experience a lot of good things that were flowing into my life that were previously being blocked. So as I started experiencing, I said, okay, but now I'm coming back to a world where there is judgment. But even if I can get to half of what I felt that day, I'm in a much better place than I am today. So that's when I started to identify all the clutter that was in my life that was holding me down, right? I mean, I don't know if you remember these old prison movies where they put the ball and chain around your leg so that you wouldn't escape. So I had lots of these around my legs. And then I started identifying them and said, okay, let me find the tools to start cutting them one at a time so I can run faster and soar to new heights. And that's how my journey began.
Yeah, amazing description. And we all feel that it's not only you, we all feel in the modern world that we have too much clutter around us. We should declutter. Whenever we declutter, we start to find the pure or the authentic self. That's true. Yeah. There is a quote you mentioned in your book I like very much, and allow me to repeat it today to the lovely audience. You said, in pleasing others, I lost my own identity. So please elaborate more in this sentence. And if you can tell me, how was the shift between the person you used to be and the person you are now, or the person maybe you want to be in the future?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great line from the book. So, as I mentioned, I was wearing many masks, but the one that was most dominant was the one of making others happy. So others include my parents, my wife, the children, my business partners in the office, my friends. But as you know, no matter how hard you try, it is impossible to make everyone happy, right? Because you can't control someone else. And if you even look at some of the most amazing people, that have existed on our planet over the centuries, even they had enemies or people that did not like them. Even someone like a Mother Teresa, who gave her life to helping others, she had a few people, even if it's one, there's still one person who doesn't like her very much, right? So in that pursuit to make others happy, which is an impossible task, I set myself up for failure. So when you're constantly failing because you're not succeeding in in making everyone happy, I then became unhappy myself. And when I came to that realization, I said, oh my goodness, this has to stop. This has to change. This has to evolve. And that's when I started focusing on myself. So when I came back from that trip, I identified that I had to become my number one priority. Now, some people might say, hey, that sounds a bit selfish, but
Yes.
here's the magic in this. When I became a better person, my frequency changed, and all of a sudden I'm emitting a different energy. And that energy, which is being felt by others, it's more positive, it's improving relationships, it's attracting and good energy to me. So it's not just thinking about me, as by making myself the number one priority in this case was also improving everything around me, be it my relationship with family members, with friends, with co-workers, with everyone.
Yeah, I have an out of not a question, but it came into my mind now. What is the logo of a tree that is behind you means to you? Why a tree, and why the green color?
So my lifestyle, which is very much I live a plant-based lifestyle, and I care a lot about Mother Earth, because as we've also seen during these times of restricted access, when we have been out and about less, you're seeing Mother Earth come alive again, right? So it's
Right.
almost a reminder that we need to grow in harmony with nature and become as strong as a tree together. So that's the story behind the logo.
Great, amazing. And you are a vegan? You are vegan yourself?
I am. I was not before. I used to actually make fun of vegans, but today I live a sustainable lifestyle. So I don't consume any animal products. I make my my some of my own cleaning products. I'm buying items that are without packaging, fully chemical free, made with good energy, and this is what we're using in the household. So I'm not there yet of a fully chemical free house,
Yeah,
but we're each month we're taking one step and getting closer and closer,
very good.
because the more we live in harmony with everything around us, the more we can enjoy life and keep it a beautiful place for the next generation.
Yes, make it raw, and as you said, the more close we are to Mother Earth, maybe the healthier we will be, and the better we are, more connected and more grounded as well. Over 90% of illness and diseases today are based on lifestyle, and stress, not genetics. So the journey required is actually an inward journey, and not something outside of us. How can you elaborate this sentence?
So this is such an important statement, and it's such good news for all of us. It means that there's a very little chance that you're going to have illnesses because of your family genetics, right? It means that anything that you already have, or you may get in the future, can be avoided or reduced by changing your lifestyle. I was just writing a comment to share with a publication this morning, and a lot of us identify ourselves with either our possessions, our position, or achievements. Right? I repeat, we identify
Material stuff.
ourselves by our possessions, our position, and our achievements. Now, what if we took all those three away? Right? Because possessions are just for comfort. It's not to show other people. Position is for responsibility. And achievements are great, but that's the past, right? There's nothing wrong in getting achievements. There's nothing wrong with having these things, but we should understand why we have them. But today we've learned this wonderful and very important message about health, because if our immunity is strong, the chance of us contracting anything is much lower, or getting ill in the future. If we increase those relationships, many of us have relationships with people where there's clutter between us. There's a lot of things that are not said, but that's causing a distance. How about we focus on those when it's, especially when it's dear friends or our family members who we love so much? You know, we've understood the importance of that. And now we're also understanding the importance of working together, uniting as a community. So, you know, before maybe success was defined for many people, unfortunately, with possessions and achievements. But today it's very much about relationships, about health, and about community. You know, this is what is really defining success. And it's amazing to see this mind shift that's happening in so many members of this, on this planet.
Yes, it is true. And especially during this era where I discovered the concept of the less is more. I started to learn to live with less. And living with less, I think, is the new lesson we all learned from the COVID-19. So I have realized that maybe we can live with less and still get more of life, like spending more time with the family, taking care of our health, having more time for our mental health, more time to exercise, more time to sit with our kids. So I really started to understand the concept of decluttering and how we can live with less. Can you elaborate more in this concept, and how do you feel the impact of the COVID-19 on really the concept of decluttering and of living with less that we all
Yeah, I
discovered
mean,
ourselves?
what's been interesting is that you know, for many people, including myself, it wasn't a choice. You were forced into it, right? But no one has complained about it. I mean, many people that I speak to, no one is thinking, oh, you know, I need to go buy a new pair of shoes, or I need to buy a new mobile phone, or I need to
Exactly.
buy this or that. People are only thinking about, okay, I need to go to the supermarket, or I need to order groceries to feed the family. You know, these are the things we need to maintain our household. But no one's really thinking about buying new clothes or this or that. And if you are, it's very little, right? And people are thinking about, oh, I miss these relationships. I wish I could see my friend face to face again. Maybe I want to see my parents again who are living in a different part of the world, but right now we're stuck and we can't travel. These are the things that we're thinking about. And it's amazing to see, because it's what I mentioned. The new success is really, you know, the unity with community, you know, thinking about each other. It's about health, it's about relationships, and that's where a lot of people are focusing their time and energy today, right? So my message to everyone is, be aware about this, because when things open up even more, let's be more conscious about how we're spending our time and what really matters to all of us, as opposed to what we were doing before.
Yes, you are right. We are started already to change our priority. Our priorities have changed already. Saahil, I would like to know from you a straight definition. What is decluttering, and what are the 4 stages you are proposing to the audience today? And you are proposing, of course, in your book. Your book
So,
name
you know, a lot of
is
people, when I mention decluttering, they think of, you know, cleaning up, right? So that's not what it is. It's any sort of physical or mental clutter that is holding you down. You know, as I mentioned, it's that ball and chain wrapped around your leg, that heavy weight, and lots of them that are holding you down from soaring to great new heights. So it's physical and mental clutter. And what I've done is, over the last 4 years, all the tools that I've applied to myself, and I, you know, I do mention this is a journey. It's not a one-time thing, right?
yeah.
But everything that I've applied to myself, and I will continue to apply, I've made that very simple for everyone in my book. And I broke it down into decluttering from the material world. Then we move on to the body, then people, and then finally the mind. And that helps us to find our purpose, because that gives us a greater reason to fulfill what we were born for.
Yes, my next question was, what are the advantages of decluttering, and how can it help to find your purpose? You mentioned a little bit
So,
about it now, but I want to know more from you. How did it help you to find your purpose when you started to decluttering your mind, decluttering from material world? decluttering the body and decluttering from relationship, maybe toxic relationship.
No, it's a great question. So, as I mentioned, clutter is basically all this noise in your life, whether it's noise from the external world because your place is a mess or your body, the health is not good, so it's a distraction. It could be relationships that are not going so well, and that becomes a distraction, or it's your own mind, right? How many times is our mind fighting a battle in itself? So all these things are noise, right? It's clutter. It's not allowing you to focus. And if you would like to achieve greatness, if you want to find your purpose, then you can't find it if you have too many distractions in your life. So in my case, as I started to remove this clutter, whether it was mental or physical, I started to see things more clearly. And one thing I would like to mention at this stage, because when I was thinking about purpose, it actually made me more stressed. I used to think, why don't I know my purpose? Why am I here? Why is it so difficult to find out? The good news is we all have one universal purpose. And that purpose is to, for us to have a positive impact before we pass away, right? That's a universal purpose. So keeping that in mind, even if you never figure out what yours is, it's just to be a great human being and have a positive impact. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be, the president or the prime minister of a country and you make a change from that angle. You might impact two people in your life, but they will forever remember you because you had such a positive, change, such a positive change for them. So in my case, as I started to remove all the clutter, my purpose became more and more clear, and one day just appeared to me, and it's my purpose is the path of non-violence. And that's the reason why I have this great bond and unity with Mother Earth, and that's why I switched to a vegan plant-based lifestyle, because I don't believe in harming either myself or anyone around me.
Any creature, any other creature as well. Yes,
any people, any creatures, or any plants, and I just don't believe in harming. Yeah.
Yes, I think this is the era where every one of us should find his own purpose in life. It is very important, and it makes a very big difference even in his own happiness. When you find your purpose, definitely you will live a fulfilled life and a more happy life, definitely. So
and I'd like to add one thing. I'd like to add one thing on that point. So I'll share a very quick story. In December, we went on a trip, and we were maybe 200 people together, and we had to climb 4,000 steps. Okay, this was at a religious site, and if it's like a mountain, but it had steps. It wasn't a rugged path. It had steps. Now, if you tell anyone on an ordinary day, come on, let's go climb 4,000 steps, they'll say, hey, are you crazy? No way, I don't want to do that. But here, people whose fitness levels were, very basic, or their fitness levels, if you saw them, you'd say there's no way they could do it. But because they believed in something bigger than themselves, which comes with purpose as well, they found that energy to climb those 4,000 steps. So it's amazing what you can do once you know your why.
Yes, very well said. Saahil, how do you foresee the workplace after the pandemic? Will there be more flexible work arrangements, more flexible timing, maybe more flexible weekdays, maybe better productivity? How do you foresee that?
My personal view and things that we're applying in our own company is it's about the results. It's not about the 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 anymore. We had some people who would be traveling for many hours just to get to the office. Now we question, do they really need to spend that much time just to get to the office? What if they work from home or came in just once or twice a week instead? That way they can be more happy. They have less stress because they're also closer to their family, but they're still achieving more because they are happier as an individual. So we definitely need to shift towards ensuring that people can work from outside of the office, be it at home or otherwise. But is the traditional 9 to 5 important? You know,
And
is it important to
I
have
have
every
another
single person
question.
in the office?
I have another question here. Is the 5 days important? Can we make, why not 4 days of work?
So I would even
Don't
take it
know
one
many,
step further. You know,
many,
I would say, why can't it be based on results?
for
You
example,
know,
yes.
yeah, I mean, I remember my very first job when I finished university. My boss used to tell me, he said, Sahil, if you want to come on the weekend, you want to work till late, you want to leave early and go on the beach, you can decide what you do. But on this day, at this time, this should be finished.
Yeah,
Right? So
result oriented.
it's very much results driven
Mm.
rather than just the time of days or, you know, the time of hours.
Yes, exactly. What are your best advice for all of us to stay fit at home in the time of pandemic, bearing in mind the space available at home? How can we exercise? How can we stay fit? Do you have any special tips or plan that we can do at home to really stay fit and exercise at home?
Great question. So before I get to fitness, I would say there are two other things that are more important, and that's the food habits and sleep. Because if you, no matter how much fitness you do, if your food habits are not good and you're not sleeping enough, you're just not going to get the benefit. So for food, start looking at what you're eating. You know, some things come in packets, read the labels. If it has sweeteners, if it has artificial coloring, if it has high sugar, you know, if it has MSG, you know, if it has chemicals in there, you should ask yourself, is this really what I want to eat? Perhaps I should be eating something else, right? Something that is going to fuel my body better. So start looking at what you eat. And the other thing I would say is sleep, right? It's so important to get a good night's rest. I know lots of people, they're watching a lot of TV at night, right? But here's the thing, your body needs sleep to get physical and mental recovery. And most of your physical recovery happens from about 10 in the evening till about 2 in the morning. And then from then till about 6 in the morning, it's mental recovery. So even if you get 7 or 8 hours of sleep, but you go to bed at 1 o'clock and you wake up at 8 or 9, you only got 1 hour of physical recovery. So that's not so good for your body. So it's about getting enough sleep as well. And then finally, for the fitness, the thing that I do, which has helped me a lot, which I'm sure is easy for everyone, is every time I'm on a phone call, I stand up and I just walk around the house. So whether you live in a house or an apartment, if you get a phone call, get up and just walk.
Very
And
good.
just by walking, because I have many phone calls in a day, I'm doing more than 10,000 steps. It's amazing.
Wow. It's amazing, yeah. And it's kind of holistic approach, the sleep, food, exercise, everything. And to be a little bit active, it's a very good idea. If we have a phone call, why don't we move around the house while we are talking to, while we
Exactly.
are having our phone? What does the sentence of getting to the root of the problem, what does this sentence means to you? And I mean, for me, it means that you do not get the quick fixes or temporary fixes, you get a permanent fix. So you go to the root of the problem. And what is the integrative medicine? What is this term?
So I'll share a story for that, right? I was, for many years, I felt very bloated and I didn't know why. And it wasn't so bad that I had to go visit a doctor because it wasn't like I was sick. And, but it was bad enough to be an irritation in my life. Okay. Then one day I decided, when I made myself the number one priority, which we spoke about earlier, I said, anything that I face which doesn't feel right, it probably means that it is not right. So let me get down to the root cause. And the root cause, as you mentioned, it's not about, you know, just doing the patchwork and taking a pill or doing something that is a quick fix, but it's really understanding why it's happening and then resolving it at the root level so that the problem or the challenge in your life can disappear completely. So I went to a doctor, an integrative medicine specialist, and basically I found out that I was highly intolerant to dairy and to eggs and to almonds. And, I used to be vegetarian. So when you tell a vegetarian you can't eat dairy and eggs anymore, that's a big part of the diet. And, but what happened was that all my bloating disappeared, because what was happening was these foods I was eating was not being accepted by my body, and because it was rejecting it, a lot of inflammation was happening inside of me. Now, if I just describe my symptoms of inflammation, there's lots of medicine that you can take to reduce inflammation, but is that solving it at the root level? No. So that's why I was very fortunate to get this test done by this wonderful doctor and find out the items that were no longer suiting my body. And as soon as I removed them, the bloating immediately disappeared within days. It was unbelievable. So I always tell people, if something doesn't feel right, it probably is not. And check it, find out why you're feeling that way. Because it could be, sometimes you might have to visit many different types of doctors or specialists before you get your answer. But to feel great, wow, I mean, there's nothing like it, right? It's worth millions of dirhams. You can't take that away from anyone just to feel great.
So it's an integrative approach. You have to take the vitamins that your body is missing. You have to know what are the foods that your body is intolerant to them. And then you can have, I think, by solving this problem, I think you can have more energy. You can solve many of your problems. And the
Absolutely.
gut health, the health of the gut is definitely very important as well. And they call it the second brain, as they call it sometimes. I would like to know from you, what are your morning routines? What do you do when you wake up? Is there a specific, what were you doing and what are you now doing? Is there a difference, and did it make a big difference in your performance and your energy level?
Great question. So previously, I used to wake up just a few minutes before the children get up for school. I wake them up, I get them ready, breakfast, so I have young ones, they're 6 and 8 years old now. So I still have to be very involved in the morning with them, drop them to school. This is obviously before lockdown. Drop them to school, exercise, go to the office, work, come back, spend time with the kids, spend time with the wife, maybe with some family and friends, and then go to sleep. So I didn't have any time to myself. I was always running, if that's the best word to use. And maybe that sounds familiar to many of you that are listening, that you just feel like you're constantly running, and not making as much progress as you'd like. And then I came across this concept of a morning routine. So I stopped and I thought about this and I said, wow, this morning routine can help me to energize myself. So I'm going to be more impactful during the day. So I needed that me time where it's just time by myself. So now I wake up an hour before the rest of the family. And that 1 hour in the morning is time to myself. So before I go into the details, there's two things that are not allowed. One, you're not allowed to hit snooze, because you don't want the first action of your day to be snooze, because that sets the precedent for the rest of the day, that you are a snoozer. And we certainly don't want to be known that way. And the second no is no mobile phones. I was guilty of this. I used to wake up and before I could even open my eyes, my hand would shoot out, pick up my phone, and I'd start reading. But guess what? Imagine if you read something you don't like. A client sends you a cancellation of a contract, or you hear some negative news. That puts you in a negative state of being. And I don't know about you, but for me, once I'm in that negative place, to come back up is very difficult. And maybe it takes the whole day. So that affects my performance in the day. It affects my relationships with people. So that's a no-no. Now, coming to the morning routine, the first thing that I do when I wake up is I just move. For 10 to 15 minutes, I move. Now, I practice a lot of yoga, so I do the sun salutation, but you can just walk. You can do star jumps, you can do push-ups, do anything, just move, get the blood to circulate around your body. You've been lying down for many hours, it's time to wake up and get alive. The next 10, 15 minutes I spend on breath work. The deep breaths where you feel your belly going in and out, not the ones where you feel your chest going in and out. And that's to get oxygen in all the cells and again to wake up and become alive. The third thing that I do, again, it's about 10, 15 minutes, usually about 15 minutes, is meditate. There's so many different types of meditation. there's guided meditation, there's chanting, there's silence meditation. See the one that works for you, and try them. And once you say that, wow, this is the one for me, stick to it. But meditate. And why is that done? That's to bring balance between the mind and the heart, so that I'm more centered. Because if I'm too heavy on the heart or too heavy on the mind and out of balance, again, it's going to affect my day. And the last thing I do is I journal. I write things down. And the first three things I write down are three things I'm grateful for. Even though there are things that are going wrong, I'm still grateful to have 3 meals. I'm grateful to, be with family. I'm grateful for good health. I write down 3 things I'm excited about. I write a positive affirmation, and the one that I wrote this morning is, I have the power to change my life for the better, to get it right and get the desired results. So I'm responsible for my own happiness, for my own future. And then finally, I go through a process of forgiveness where I forgive everyone if I've harmed anyone. Yeah. And then I also, um, I forgive and I ask for forgiveness both ways, right? And then finally, I write down, today is going to be the best day ever. So now you can imagine, after completing this morning routine, which for me takes about 1 hour, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling energized. Now I'm ready to take on any challenge. Even if bad news come to me, I go, I go down a little bit, but I'm not going to get knocked out. So I still have a lot of energy for the whole day. And what the effect of that has been for me, I'm getting better results. I'm getting more time. Before I felt I was very reactive. Now I'm more proactive, and I'm getting a lot of time to read, to spend more time with the kids and the wife. So it's only brought a lot of benefits. And all it took was just changing my morning.
Yes, morning routine are very important. And if you start your mornings well, I believe that the whole day will go on very productive and very smooth and very energetic. So morning routines are very important. Even for 5 minutes, what you do the first maybe 5 minutes when you wake up is crucial to the whole day. Many people, they just don't care about this routine. They jump into their mobile phone and they open their computers. And that's how the day start. Maybe they read some bad news here and there, and it really, they don't know how bad it can affect the whole day. It can affect their energy and their kind of their activity during the whole day. So you are
And
right
here's
that
something interesting. I'd like to share one fact with you. So I've done, I've had audiences. If I look at my total audience, it's thousands of people. And when I did a survey on how many people check their mobile phone within the first 15 minutes, it was higher than 80%.
Most of us do that. Most of the people do that nowadays. Talking about decluttering, I want to know your opinion about not decluttering the food, but I personally consider that fasting is one way of decluttering food. We fast in Ramadan. There is also the new diet we hear about, and many people are doing it already, the intermittent fasting. I would like to know from you, what is your opinion in fasting, in intermittent fasting, and do you consider it as a kind of decluttering from food as well?
So fasting is amazing. It's essential. I fast twice a month, and I fast for anywhere from 24 to 36 hours, where I only consume water, and sometimes I even don't consume water at all. So for 24 or 36 hours, I won't have anything.
Really?
Yeah, and
No,
what's
no food,
amazing
no
is
water, no food, no water, nothing.
usually I have water. It's only sometimes when I do the 24-hour fast, and it's not the summer over here. I will do it every now and again without
But
water, but
how frequent you do a 24-hour fasting? And can you
twice
have
a month.
twice a month? Can you have a coffee during that fasting or nothing? No water, no coffee, nothing.
I only have water. If I do drink, I only have water, nothing else.
Okay.
So what's amazing
What
is
is
that,
the impact of it, of fasting for so
correct.
many hours?
So what's amazing about this body that we have is it's a natural healing machine, right? A simple example is, if you cut yourself, a small cut, you don't need any bandages, you don't need medicine, you don't need anything. Your body automatically heals itself. Okay, so now that we understand that our body is a healing machine, food, digesting food takes up anywhere from 10 to 30% of our energy during the day. So when we eliminate food, what is our body doing? It's spending that energy on healing. So some people think, oh, fasting, it's torture, it's this, it's that. But actually, fasting is enhancing the healing process that your body is going through. Now, why do I do 24 or 36 hours? Because what many people do in intermittent fasting is that your body, after they do it for about 16 hours and they eat for 8 hours. So in 16 hours, your body goes into a state of ketosis, right? So that's where you go into your fat to get energy. But here's what happens when you cross 18 hours, right? And when you're doing it for even longer, your body goes into a state of autophagy. And autophagy is when your stronger cells start attacking your weaker cells. So again, it's a process of cleansing that is happening inside your body. And it's funny because even the days when I fast, I still have a normal day. I still practice my yoga. I go to the office. I sit with people when they're eating it, no impact at all. It's just in our minds. But the healing that takes place is incredible because, as I mentioned, your stronger cells are attacking your weaker cells through the process of autophagy, and you're cleansing. So that and the healing that happens because your energy is not used in digesting food, it just means that fasting day becomes a healing day. So if you change your mindset and call it a healing day rather than fasting, it becomes a lot easier to do.
Yeah. I am sure that most of our audience today are keen to listen to you and to learn from you. What is the your best tips and solution for decluttering of their wardrobe and the closet? Because now is a good time in quarantine. We have a lot of time. We can really do the best out of decluttering our wardrobe, our closet, and maybe then we go to decluttering the whole house.
No, so I would love to share my technique with you.
Exactly.
So, the first thing I do, sometimes when it's in your closet, it doesn't look like it's much because it's all organized, it's in drawers, it's hanging. But what I do is I take everything out. So first take everything out and put it on your bed. That's when I got my first shock. I couldn't believe how much stuff I had. It was overflowing. It didn't even fit on the bed. It was overflowing onto the floor. And then I divided everything into 3 piles. The first pile is I use this often. I would like to keep it because it brings me joy in my life. So I would put it into my cupboard. The second pile would be I can't remember the last time I wore this. It doesn't have any functional purpose in my life. Perhaps I should give it to someone who's not as fortunate as me and bring a smile to their face. So it's all about giving, right? I'm decluttering for smiles. So I put that in the second pile. And the third pile is, I don't know, maybe yes, maybe no, right?
Yeah.
So I tell people, why are you keeping it? And some people keep something because there's a memory attached to it. So I ask them is that if you give the item away to someone who can benefit, does that mean the memory disappears? And they say no. So your memory is always going to remain whether you give it away or not.
Yeah.
And some people say, oh, I used to fit into this and now I gained some weight, I don't fit into it anymore. And I say, look, if it's an inspiration and you're working towards getting back to a positive place and it brings you that joy and that drive to stay more fit, keep it. But if it's causing you sadness and you're saying, oh, I used to be like this and now I'm not and I feel upset, I feel depressed, that needs to go. Why would you want to keep anything in your closet that's bringing you down? You want things in there to bring you up.
Yeah.
And if you're still confused, I tell people keep it in a box. And if that box is not open for 3 months, maybe it's time to give it away.
Exactly.
So this is the technique that I've used for myself, and it's helped me tremendously. And it's not just one time. I've decluttered my closet 4 times, and every time I managed to remove
4 times
a lot of stuff.
during the year? During the year, you mean?
No, I've just done it 4 times in the last, I think 4 times in the last 3 years. Okay. And each time I don't think I can remove any more, but the next time I realize I still don't need so many things, and I remove more items.
Yes. Decluttering is really very good to find space. Space in your mind, space in your house, space in your closet, everywhere. We talked about
Absolutely.
this kind of decluttering of the mind, the decluttering of the body, maybe decluttering from the material world. But I would like to know from you, how do you declutter from people? Or how do you declutter people? How do you use that
So
concept in your life?
whenever I mention declutter people, everyone assumes that it means to get rid of people from your life. And that might be true in some cases. There might be people who just drain you of your energy that are not important in your life. It's not a good friend, it's not family, it's not a co-worker, it's just someone you meet every now and again. You do have to question that relationship and say, why am I holding on to it if it's not really bringing me joy? So that's easy. But decluttering people is really about bringing the loved ones or the people that matter in your life closer. It's removing the clutter that's between the two of you that's causing distance or causing challenges. You know, maybe it's that conversation that you want to have with your spouse, but you're afraid to have. Maybe it's a conversation you want to have with your colleagues, you know, about how you feel when they speak to you in a certain way, but you hold back because you're afraid of the confrontation. You know, maybe it's that conversation you want to have with your parents, but you feel that out of respect and for other reasons, you just hold back. So I tell people, how about understanding things from other people's perspective and not just looking from your eyes? For example, if you're standing in front of me and we're facing each other and I draw a 6 on the floor, you're going to see a 9. Now I can tell you it's a 6, it's a 6. And you'll say, no, it's a 9. And we'll keep arguing with each other. But all we had to do was really understand from the other person's perspective and say, hey, if they are so adamant, let me see what they're thinking. Let me understand them and understand their point of view. Because I realize that I don't have all the perspectives on everything in life, right? So it's all about understanding the other person. And I would even take it one step further. You know, if those relationships, you're fearing them because of the confrontation and you really care, develop a framework that you can use to bring yourselves closer to each other. For example, with me, whenever I have to have a challenging conversation with someone, I find a quiet space, I remove the distractions. I enter the conversation with compassion and empathy, not with anger because someone maybe hurt me. Because if you enter a conversation in a negative state, how do you expect to get a positive outcome? But if you enter with a positive outcome, you've already increased your chances of a beneficial, mutually beneficial outcome. So I enter with compassion and empathy, and I tell them this is what I would like to achieve. And I mentioned that from the start, which is, a closer bond between us, a better relationship. I remove the assumptions and I start understanding it from their perspective. I don't point fingers to them. I talk about my feelings, because if I point at you, you will get defensive and say, no, 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 right? But I will talk about my feelings and I will listen to them when they're speaking. And this is the listening I'm talking about, not the listening when you sit on an airplane and the pilot says, this is your destination, this is the weather, we will reach in 5 hours, and you're reading your book at the same time. I'm talking about the listening where I tell you, hey, I'm going to share with you 5 numbers, and you have to repeat them back to me in the exact same order and understand what I'm saying to win 1,000,000 dirhams. Now you're listening to me. That's the listening I'm talking
Full
about, not the
attention.
voice in your head.
Yeah.
So when you create that framework, you increase your chances of having a positive outcome, and that brings you closer. And I would even say, make a list of the people that matter in your life where you feel the relationships are not as strong as they should be, and use this time to reach out to them. We have Zoom, we have phone calls, we have so many ways to connect now. There really is no excuse.
It is true, yes. It is the time of connecting with people. Although we are socially distant, but we can connect in a more deep and profound meaning than the social or the physical distance. So we are really living in an area, I believe, where we have to remove all the clutters we have. To remove all the masks, as you said, all the masks we have. You even said that you discovered that you were wearing many masks, and you don't know from where we got all these masks. And the more you declutter from these masks, you remove the clutters around yourself, the more you found the authentic you, the more you found the pure you, and the more you led a happier life. I would like to ask you at the end the standard question I always ask my guests. What is your true state of happiness? As we said, you removed all the masks you were wearing and you removed all the clutters you were wearing to find your authentic self. So how can you define happiness, or what is your formula to sum it up? What is your formula to happiness, to a fulfilled life and a successful life as well?
So that's a lovely question, and I'd like to share my version on it. So, as you mentioned, when you're wearing a mask, when you wear it all the time, it becomes you, right? And that's why I didn't even realize I was wearing them, because it became a part of me. When you never take it off, it becomes a part of you. So as I started to remove them, this is what happened. I became the authentic self. And the best picture of an authentic human being is a child. For any one of you that have young children, or remember your children being young, or you've been surrounded by young children, they are filled with love and compassion, and they are as pure as you can get. So when you are in your pure state, that's how you are, and that's what you will become. So I said to myself, people always tell their children, you need to grow up. I'm saying, no, I need to become more like them. And as I started removing all these layers, I became my pure self, my authentic self. And that's when I started to experience all this joy and happiness. And what I always tell people is, it's so easy to be you. Why be the second-rate version of someone else when you can be the best version of yourself?
Exactly.
And the one thing I heard, which I'd like to share, I heard this the other day at a talk I was attending. Someone said they went to a spiritual leader, and they said, I want happiness. How do I get it? And they said, remove the I, which is ego, remove the want, which is desire, and you have happiness.
Yeah. Very well said. It was really I really got a lot of information and a new perspective about decluttering, about happiness, and about how to lead a fulfilled life. Thank you very much, Saahil. It was a pleasure connecting with you today. And hope all our audience enjoyed the session today. I will see them next Thursday in a new episode with a new author, a new book, new perspective. Stay tuned in. Thank you, Saahil.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.